Good Thursday morning to you and yours. It's time for another edition of Our Town here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. My name is Darren Swinson. Our Town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. We have a 5-guest, 3-interview program on the show this morning. We'll talk about the most recent developments regarding high school conference alignment with Decorah School Superintendent Tim Cronin. Coming up on Sunday, it's the spring concert for the Decorah Chorale. We'll be joined by Jason Rausch, the Chorale director, and Kari Iverson, who is the treasurer of the Decorah Chorale board. But our first guest this morning, we are going to be focusing on a big event coming up tomorrow night in Decorah. It's the 50th anniversary of the Spectrum Network. And we'll be joined by Spectrum board president Laura Smith and Christopher Miculinich from the Spectrum Network as well. That conversation will start the show in a matter of seconds. It's Our Town. It's brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust, and you're listening to it on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Coming up this Friday night is the Spectrum Network's 50th anniversary gala. And with us from the Spectrum Network, Christopher Miculinich, as well as board president Laura Smith. And Christopher, we'll start with you. Give us a little bit of the history of the 50 years of the Spectrum Network. How did it begin, and how has it continued to thrive after all these years?
Yeah, so initially we're founded around 1974 and 1975. It started out in the Grace Episcopal Church basement, actually. Roughly 13 clients, I believe, is what they started with. And the big thing why they started was just because they saw individuals saw a need in the community. For adults and other individuals with disabilities, and it kind of has grown from there. And it's been interesting to learn the history and the process of planning this event, because not a lot of people truly realize how much history we have in the community, as well as the community ties. From 1974 until now, and in the mid-range, obviously we've done a lot of developing and growing from that point, from the service programs we offered, to the service programs we offer today. Because not too long ago, I know we had great partnerships and still do with local organizations like Rockwell's and Stanley, where the clients would actually do some of that assembling stuff for them. But then, rules and regulations changed at the state level, so we had to go away from that. But today, what we offer in-house and out in the community include day habilitation services, as well as supported community living, and then employment services. So the employment services covers everything from job development to job coaching. Supported community living is essentially, we'll have staff go in with individuals in their home and help with the basic, day-to-day necessities, whether it be paying a bill, meal prepping, all of that good stuff, some of the stuff that we don't like to do on a day-to-day basis. And then day hab is essentially one of our biggest, services we offer right now. And it brings that social community interaction for individuals that, other would not get it if they were just at home. So that's a big community one where we go out in the community and the clients get to experience, community outreach, and it's a great time. And it's great. I've been on a few outings as well, and just to see the interactions between, staff, clients, as well as community members and the clients is amazing, because at the end of the day, regardless from if we're in 1954 or we're in 2024, everybody that's, been here is for the mission, and that's to serve our clients. And yeah, so.
And Laura, an organization doesn't survive 50 years without being willing to adapt and being open-minded to the needs of the community as time passes on. In what ways has Spectrum adapted over the years, knowing the fact that the needs are going to be constantly changing?
That's a good question. I've been on the board for I would say 4 years now, and we've had to make lots of changes over the years just based on availability of work, employment opportunities in the community, just the number of clients that we, that from time to time, clients move into our community and move away. And so we are always, as a board, looking to make sure that we're offering good opportunities, but then also able to serve all of the individuals that are coming to us. One of the challenges that the board has faced this past year is having an ADA compliant vehicle to be able to continue our mission of making sure our clients have opportunities out in the community. And so one of the things that many of our staff, our dedicated staff, as well as the board has been doing is planning this gala event that we have on Friday evening. And our main goal from that is to raise money in order to get a new vehicle so that we can continue to provide opportunities for our all of our clients to go out into the community, have opportunities, whether it be going for a day trip and seeing the beauty of Northeast Iowa, or getting to a work site, or maybe going and enjoying coffee at a local coffee shop here in Decorah, depending on what it is. And so sometimes our trips are short and sometimes they're longer, but we, just like when these individuals were in school, they had access to transportation from the public school system. They also need access to transportation. And so that's one of the things that Spectrum is proud to be able to provide, but we need to have a up-to-date vehicle that is equipped to be able to support all of the clients that we serve.
And obviously, a big goal of the event coming up on Friday night is what Laura just touched upon. But Christopher, anytime an organization sticks around for 50 years, it's a reason to celebrate. Tell us about the gala event coming up on Friday night. What is all involved? What will it all entail?
Yeah, definitely. So it's been an acclamation of, hard work from individuals from our board as well as staff members since as far back as last November. So this upcoming Friday, it'll be from 6:30 to 9:30 at Impact Coffee. So, which is awesome. Big things that we'll have involved is there'll be some live music, as well as we have silent auction, some live auction pieces, as well as a raffle. So some of that stuff is actually going to get released on our social media today. So kind of keep an eye for that leading up to Friday. Another big thing is we tried with this event to make it not just about the community members, but the clients as well. So we have a huge base of both coming, which is awesome. Community members showing support, but also making sure that our clients get to be there and attend and enjoy it just as much as anybody else, which is awesome. And that was our #1 priority from when we started to plan this event. And we're just really excited to finally see it come to fruition, get to share everything with everybody on Friday from 6:30 to 9:30.
And Laura, as I was doing my research, getting ready for this, and yes, I do keep another window up to cheat. I'm going to be open up about that. Seems to be a pretty easy way to purchase tickets to this event online on your website, correct?
Sorry, no,
Yep.
You can go ahead.
Yep. No, yeah, you were right. So Christopher has been our go-to person for making sure that all of that is easily found on our Facebook page. So he has it pinned at the top. You're welcome to go to our Facebook page or go to our website and it'll direct you. Otherwise, if coming in person is easier, we do have tickets here at the Spectrum Network. We just ask that you call ahead and let us know and just make sure that we are open just because of our daytime hours. And then we will have a limited number of tickets available at the door on Friday evening as well. But you can rattle off the address and the phone number because you have that in your head.
Yeah. So if the individuals want to come in person, the physical address is 607 Washington Street. And then phone number individuals can call beforehand is 563-382-8401.
And Christopher, Laura touched on the goal of fundraising for this event, but let's say people have something going on Friday night out of town this weekend, if something else is on their social calendar, but want to contribute to the cause. Is there a way for them to do so?
Yep, definitely. So 2 options that individuals can do. So actually with the event page for the actual event, there's also an option if you don't want to purchase tickets, you can just flat out
Okay.
donate towards that event. So that will be directed kind of in the link that Laura had said as well. Like it prompts you through that. I know another standard way that a lot of individuals donate is send checks in the mail. And again, that's just the 607 Washington Street with the addition of Suite 1 on there, and then here in Decorah. So those are the two means that individuals can contribute if they are unable to attend on Friday. And regardless, everything is greatly appreciated, and yeah.
And Laura, I guess anything we're missing, anything else you want to pass on as long as you guys got the forum this morning?
Yeah, so I think just again to highlight that we are celebrating Spectrum Network's 50th year, and our theme is Golden Moments. And so we would love to have you join us at Impact Coffee on Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30. And it's a great opportunity to celebrate the last 50 years that we have provided services within the community, and also look to the next 50 years. If you're looking for an opportunity to get dressed up, we encourage you to get dressed up and potentially wear something golden from your closet and help us celebrate. And Christopher and I will be there all night, and we're really looking forward to celebrating together, as well as just celebrating all of the work that has happened over the last 50 years. Also, the work that our dedicated staff have done day in and day out. As the board president for the last 9 months, I have spent a lot of time here and had a chance to get to meet the clients, and also just work with our dedicated staff, just to name a few. Brad Carlson, Lindsay Elbers, Paul Wanless, Emily Roxfold. We couldn't, and of course Christopher here, we couldn't do it without them. And I just want to say a shout out also to our dedicated board. We've spent a lot of time in the last year really not only planning for this event, but also just remaining dedicated to the mission of Spectrum. And so I'll just do a shout out for them, but Paul Greenberg, Brian Sveska, Nikki Thompson, and Dr. David Gailing, couldn't do it without them. So thank you to our whole team, and we're really excited to celebrate on Friday night the golden moments of the Spectrum Network.
Yeah, and I would like to echo those sentiments as well, because I just joined in November, and the immense, support that I've seen from the staff as well as the board has been amazing, especially leading up to this event. And I also just want to throw in Deb Van Horn as someone we would like to, thank as well. That is a critical staff member here. So.
Yes, Deb is our person. She's out in the community a lot, and so I apologize.
Yeah,
we couldn't do it without Deb as well. So thank you to Deb.
Yeah.
Well, an organization like this doesn't keep doing 50 years of great work for many, many people over the years without a lot of people involved. And it's great to see the community support and a lot of people involved to help all of your clients. Christopher and Laura, we thank you for taking the time. Thank you for what you do for our community, and enjoy the event coming up tomorrow night. Laura Smith and Christopher Miculinich coming up for the Spectrum Gala. That's Friday night at Impact Coffee. All the details on the Spectrum Network Facebook page, as well as the Spectrum Network website. The Decorah Chorale will hold its spring concert coming up this weekend, and here to talk about it, the director of the Decorah Chorale, Jason Rausch, and the treasurer of the Decorah Chorale board, also Kari Iverson. And Jason, we'll start with you. Tell us about the concert coming up on Sunday.
Yes, our spring concert is Sunday at 3 p.m. at Decorah High School in the auditorium. We've titled this concert Glorious Day, and it really isn't it's a day in the life of a person. We start off with a song called Afternoon on a Hill, where we are so happy to be out in nature, enjoying all these beautiful flowers, and refreshing ourselves and ready to take on another day after some rest. And the whole concert is centered around the beauty and the wonder, the mystery of the world around us. And it's encouraging folks to embrace the splendor of nature and the human spirit, and how much nature can heal us and move us forward in in this world, and hopefully in a peaceful peaceful way.
And Kari, I know you've been involved with the chorale for quite some time. How much work, how much time have you guys put into getting this presentation together coming up on Sunday?
Well, we've worked really hard. Some of the music is quite challenging, and so it's really phenomenal music that we're putting on this time. So we missed I think one weather related issue one Sunday, so we've had to kind of work extra hard these last few rehearsals, but it's really worth it. It's so much fun to sing with all these wonderful people, and I mean, Jason is just amazing. So it's just a great time.
And Jason, how do you come up with the idea that you explained to us about this presentation and what it's all going to be about?
Usually there's an anchor piece that's kind of sticking in my brain. I program the summer before our year, and I had a piece by Jake Runestad called Come to the Woods that I actually sang with the composer at a choral director conference a couple summers ago, that I got to prepare a director's chorus of this piece. It's almost a 12-minute piece, and it's a person going into the woods. It's called Come to the Woods. A person going into the woods, and a storm happens, and the aftermath of the storm. And it's written by, the text is by John Muir, and who's a Scottish gentleman, and he was fascinated by nature. And Jake Runestad, based out of the Twin Cities, set John's texts, and it's this whole sort of programmatic piece, and it ends with this over and over motive from the tenors and basses saying, "Come to the woods, for here is rest." And it's just so soothing. And I was so emotionally taken by it when I sang it with the composer at this conference. I thought, if I can do this piece someday with the Decorah Chorale, I'm going to. It was written for a professional choir. It is challenging. The pianist that is with us, Nicholas Schoenefeld, who's the collaborative pianist and professor at Luther, he's our accompanist this semester, and he is phenomenal. He gets moments where he gets to be showcased during it. But all the parts I felt like fell into place when I thought, we can do this piece. And so then I programmed around that piece, and it just came to be about the restorative power of nature.
And Kari, one of the cool things about music is its connection to real life. And based on what Jason is explaining about the presentation coming up on Sunday, from the outside looking in, it just seems like it's sending the message of maybe we need to all at times step back and appreciate the little things in life as compared to the hustle and bustle that we're used to. Sometimes we just need to step back and enjoy life a little bit, because there's a lot to enjoy that most of us probably don't appreciate enough. Is that a fair synopsis?
Yeah, it really is. The piece that Jason's referring to, it is challenging, but when we had our dress rehearsal on Sunday, it just really came together. I mean, it's just so beautiful. And it just kind of talks about the whole being in nature. And some of us aren't very good about nature, but it really is. It's really a gorgeous piece. And it really kind of lets you know what's out there, to go out and see what's in our nature.
And go ahead, Jason. Sorry for interrupting.
I've had more chorale members reach out and say they are excited about this program of music, and that it's been very moving for them and impactful this spring than I think I've had in my 10 years with the group. I just think the singers are really excited about the challenge of the music, both musically and through the messages that the pieces are sharing.
And Kari, give us the specifics of the concert, the who, what, where, when, and why coming up on Sunday.
The concert is at 3:00 on Sunday, May 5th. And it's at the high school auditorium. So it's a great location. Won't be a bad seat in the house. So we're hoping that everyone can be there and enjoy this music with us. It's really beautiful.
Jason, anything we're missing? Anything else you want to add about this show coming up on Sunday, or anything else about the Decorah Chorale?
Yeah, we have some guest musicians that are joining us for one of our pieces. Sarah Kowitz, who's a local musician, and she a music teacher at St. Ben's, and three high school students, also Simon Kutz on cello, and Alex McGowan and Aiden Nailing Carlson on percussion. So we're always excited to collaborate with local musicians. And yeah, it's just, and again, we're grateful for Nicholas Schoenfeld, that he's our collaborative pianist, and we get to make music with him. This is kind of a pretty darn busy time that we have right now in Decorah with concerts. You know, we just had the Northern Lights concert recently. The community orchestra concert was this past Sunday. This Friday night here at Decorah High School, we're hosting Large Group State Music Festival, where we have about 10 schools from Northeast Iowa coming to perform in their orchestra, band, or choir. Sunday's our afternoon concert. Sunday evening, the Lurin Singers, Norse Corps from Luther College, some of Mr. Beckman's middle school tenors and basses, and a bass clef ensemble from the high school are performing a concert at 7 p.m. at Decorah Lutheran Church. So there's lots to do. Oh, and then I guess we have a high school concert next Tuesday night, May 7th also. So there's a lot going on. If you like live music, like supporting those in our community that are doing great work and eager work, and building community through music, please come out and take in some of these performances.
Well, if you can't be entertained in the next few days in the Decorah area, it's probably your own fault. There's plenty of opportunities. Kari, anything else you want to add? Otherwise, I'll let you give a final invitation for folks to come out on Sunday afternoon.
Just join us Sunday afternoon at 3 at the high school. We'd love to see you there.
All right, Jason Rausch from the Decorah Chorale, as well as Kari Iverson from the Decorah Chorale. Good to get the good part of the Iverson family on the air. I'll say that as with all due respect to our buddy Randy, but nonetheless, Kari, thanks for the time. Jason, thanks for the time. Best of luck with the presentation coming up on Sunday afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the Decorah Chorale concert coming up Sunday afternoon at the Decorah High School. Having a conversation here with Decorah School Superintendent Tim Cronin at a special board meeting on Monday afternoon. The Decorah School District has voted to pass a resolution authorizing Tim to seek mediation in connection to the denial of the district's application to join the Upper Iowa Conference in 2025-2026. I've given the big picture lay down on that end of things. Give us the layperson explanation of what the board action actually did on Monday.
Yeah, so this is a step or formality in the process, so that the next step will be we'll work with our attorney and draft a letter requesting mediation with director of the Department of Education, which is Dr. Mackenzie Snow, and we'll lay out a little bit of our case in the request letter, but we'll request mediation, and that'll start a timeline of events. And I don't have this process memorized, but then mediation, we're asking for mediation on what we've been denied entry into the Upper Iowa Conference. And that's probably a key thing to recognize is you're only allowed to ask for mediation on something you've been rejected on. We, as we talked about in the board meeting, we can't ask for mediation of something that we didn't apply to or get rejected from. And so the Department of Ed then will work with the Girls Union and the Boys Association and get representatives and get on a calendar. And then we'll have a day of mediation where the Decorah School District representation, Upper Iowa Conference, and their representation get together and meet, talk about our request and mediate the request in kind of a face-to-face setting. One of the things that, and I've only been through this process once, but one of the things I know is that as part of mediation, if we can't agree, that then the state will issue their guidelines. But part of any mediation, I guess I've been involved in more mediations, and part of any type of mediation, you want to try to get the parties to agree to some kind of compromise or some kind of working arrangement. The you do that with negotiations with teachers if you get that far. With regards to schools entering into a conference, I'm sure there'll be some kind of like, is there a compromise or can we agree to this? But if in the event that all the parties can't come to an agreement, then the state will say, well, this is how it's going to be. And one of the things that happens then is whatever the state puts together, there's usually like a moratorium on any kind of changes. So the one I was familiar with was the Tri-Rivers Big East in 2012, and a couple schools left the Tri-Rivers, but a couple more wanted to come in, and they went to mediation, and the state came in and said, okay, these are all the schools in the Tri-Rivers Conference, and nobody leaves for 4 years or whatever amount of time it is. So that's one of the reasons you want to try to avoid mediation, is then there might be a school stuck in a conference that they don't feel good about. But so that's the process. I've been asked, well, can the mediators do anything they want? Well, sure, they can do anything they want, and again, if you look back at what the Tri-Rivers did, that was a kind of a mediation for Big East schools getting into the Tri-Rivers. And out of that, they made a new conference. I think that's how the River Valley Conference got made, if I remember correctly. So that was a fun research for me to read, because Anamosa was kind of surprised. They didn't even realize that a dispute about Clinton Prince of Peace being in the Tri-Rivers would impact Anamosa. But when the state looked at it, they kind of did a bigger move around of pieces and said, wait a minute, we need to make a new conference with some of the bigger schools in the Tri-Rivers. We're going to grab some schools here and put them together. I'm not implying that will happen in this process, but this is what happens when you go to mediation. You don't know what the outcome will be.
You said you've only been through this once, but that's once more than a lot of people in education in the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you this way. What I'm reading between the lines based on your statement, the state would rather have all parties get together and say, hey, this can happen, and we agree to this, rather than them dictating something happen. Is that a fair way to put it?
That is a great way to put it. And I would say not just for athletic conferences, I've been in mediation with bargaining with teachers, and there's always a desire to have, whether it's 100% perfect solution for everybody or maybe a 95, you always want the groups to agree to an agreement that isn't a binding kind of forced on mediation agreement.
And related to the Decorah district, did you feel there's any other option at this point related to conference affiliation for 25-26 other than what you passed on Monday?
Well, we just passed to go to mediation. We've had that discussion in the past about what makes sense, and I'd refer back to the January 31st board meeting that we spent a good hour talking about it, and Mr. Riley kind of broke down surveys from coaches. And, not every coach would agree on the Upper Iowa, but a majority wanted the Upper Iowa. And it gets really down to me, what's the best interest of students? The factor I have to think about is travel, and the other conferences that would maybe fit us more population-wise is the WAMAC, but the travel distance, I think, is 104, an average 104 miles to every competition, and it's under 40 for Upper Iowa. So just understanding that, we talked about we had applied to the Upper Iowa, we'd been denied. We're going to mediate that. Previously, as a district, we've talked about other options, but the Upper Iowa fit for lots of reasons, but a lot of them are, those traditional rivalries and the travel distance. And I think about Tuesdays in January when maybe the weather isn't the best. I'd much rather have students on a bus to Crestwood than I would have them on a bus to Grinnell.
Do you feel the district has been as open and as transparent about this process as you possibly could be?
Oh, sure. There's always parts, people want to know everything, and there's parts, you got to respect the fact that you're working with other school districts and other superintendents and other boards. And I think we've been as open and honest, and we've tried to do everything, anytime we do a motion, we do it at a board meeting. There are lots of conversations going on. I can't tell you about what every other conversation is. that maybe other districts are having, but there's occasionally we'll have a conversation with somebody and they'll say, hey, haven't talked to my board about this. And so we always respect that as part of the process as well.
And looking at where everything is when it comes to current Northeast Iowa Conference schools. Today, you've got Decorah applying for mediation related to their Upper Iowa Conference application. You also have Charles City that has applied for mediation through their North Central Conference application, and Waverly Shell Rock, who has applied for mediation related to their WAMAC application. Are those three, could they be related in any how, or will the Department of Education, the Boys Association, and the Girls Union look at those three issues separately?
Well, they should look at them separately. Now, your question is a little bit of what could the Department of Ed do? And that's where you get into this speculative realm of I'm not going to hazard a guess. I think that's probably for two guys sitting around, sports experts on a podcast, to speculate on what the Department of Ed might do. But understanding nobody knows. That's the whole part. You give up your power when you can't agree to things through just face to face, and you have to get a mediator, and you do lose a certain amount of control, and not just for Decorah, but for everybody else about what the state could do. If the state looks at it and maybe the state does say, gosh, we've got these three mediations going on with schools that used to be in the Northeast Iowa, let's be creative with the solution. But being as that's the big unknown on what if anything could happen through mediation, other than we know we're mediating our request to the Upper Iowa. That's what I know. But speculating on what the state could do with it all, I wouldn't want to hazard a guess either way.
Again, this is a little bit of me reading between the lines, but back in January, your original request to the Upper Iowa Conference was to just sit down and have a meeting with the conference. That request ended up being denied. Does basically mediation with the EYC allow that meeting that you requested a couple of months ago to happen?
Well, yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think we were looking at just having a discussion with the Upper Iowa and kind of discussing about, how we needed to be in a conference, how we understood that we would be the largest school, but the schools we just played were on the cusp of joining the Upper Iowa, and talking through what might be a solution that would at least be okay for people. This will be more, the mediation is now we're just requesting to join the Upper Iowa. And so we're probably having less of a conversation about logistics and more of a conversation about membership or not. Now, that could certainly be part of the mediation process, where if you get in there and they say, well, it will only work for us if we do this, then maybe you are having that conversation that we asked for back in January. But no, this is kind of a different thing. We're asking to be in the conference. We're not asking to talk about what the conference could be like if we were involved in it.
And I know you kind of touched on this based on my first question, but what type of timetable is this on? And the fact that you're dealing with three mediations in our immediate area, does that slow down this timetable at all?
Well, that's all up to the state, and it's all about them getting together with their folks. But we'll get our application, now that we've got a board approval, to the state later this week, I assume. And we're working with an attorney on that. And then I think that starts out a timeline. I don't have these timelines memorized. I think that might be up for Mr. Riley, but if there's like a 60-day answer, but we'll get in the queue of the schedule. And I just know when you're trying to schedule something and it's involving multiple school districts and multiple people, I mean, you've got to have somebody from the Girls Union, the Boys Association, and the Department of Ed. And maybe from there, once those three people can meet on a certain day, maybe they just send it out and send us the date. We got a couple invitations the last time I participated, as when Waverly Shell Rock had mediation on the vote to remove them from the league, I guess. And they just sent us out a date. I don't remember being asked, does this work? It was just kind of like, this is when we're doing it. So clear your calendar.
All right, Tim. We'll appreciate the information and the knowledge about the process. It's going to be an ongoing issue, and I'm sure we'll have more discussions on this front. We appreciate the time.
You bet.
Tim Cronin, Decorah Schools Superintendent. Thank you to our guest on the program this morning, Christopher Miculinich and Laura Smith from the Spectrum Network. 50th anniversary gala coming up tomorrow night at Impact Coffee in Decorah. Jason Rausch and Kari Iverson from the Decorah Chorale, their spring concert taking place Sunday afternoon at the Decorah High School. And we want to thank Decorah School Superintendent Tim Cronin for joining us to talk the latest regarding the conference realignment discussion. As always, we remind you, we put these shows on YouTube. You're a busy person, got a lot of things to do, whether it's personally, whether it's professionally, whether it's socially. Sometimes can't always have the radio on, can't always have the smart speaker or the streaming device on at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, but we get to talk about interesting events and interesting people, and we want to bring these conversations to you on your schedule. If you're out doing whatever on YouTube, 5-2 Our Town program is a great way to figure these things out. We also put these links up on all of the LA Communications Facebook pages as we do our best to connect with our communities at LA Communications, and that's another way to consume the content that we produce. Thanks to our guest. A big thank you, as always, to the great folks at Decorah Bank and Trust for sponsoring the program. And we thank you, that's right, you, for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.